frustrated and irritated and had to pull myself away.
Just like something that has been pushed.
Part of life. And yes, definitely. When my blood pressure started.
Oh, a believer. Well, there you have it. Another fun-tabulous day. Getting to hang out with you, Tami.
In paradise.
Yep. Here we go.
Woohoo.
How do we want to bring it in today?
I don't know. What's
we
going
don't
on new and
know about
different?
it.
What's going on new and different in your world?
I don't know. New and different, new and different. Not sure. Been busy. I feel like recently it has been a time of, I guess, swapping out inventory, like getting rid of maybe things that no longer serve us and, or, chasing down like avenues, things that um, we don't necessarily see as being part of our future, and then kind of like reinvesting, those assets in, um, I guess, other areas that we see, I guess, a future in. I guess, I don't know. At least that's the way it's been for me. Since we're talking about, I guess this week, we are planning on talking about things, topics, things that we're interested in outside of our YouTube channel. What do we do for hobbies, enjoyment when we're not doing this?
Yeah. What are we doing when we're not, focusing on all things health coaching and or uh, food sensitivities or trying to feel better or
Right,
any of those crazy things in between.
right.
Where
So I
where
guess,
else do where else do we find that we want to spend our time? What lights us up?
yeah,
And with that, we're going to welcome everyone in to Integrative Approaches and Healthier Living. What lights us up? What lights you up? Welcome in. I'm Tami, here with Coach Chris. So
welcome
what
back,
lights you
guys.
up, Chris?
Oh, well, I guess, on the flip side of things, like, I mean, obviously, we know I'm a coach. I
I
love what
think
I
we've
do there.
established that.
I love what I do there. I love taking care of my health. It's been a big part of my life, for several years now. Um, but aside from that, like I really love photography, especially like photography that utilizes like vintage equipment, like film cameras, old vintage lenses. Actually, I brought, since I knew we'd be talking about this today, I brought my old Nikon D80, which is from the first generation of Nikon digital cameras, and it has the Nikon AI 50mm f1.4 on it, and I think that lens is from the 70s, late 70s. So
Yeah, well,
I was
that's
like,
really cool, especially for people that don't remember cameras that look like that or ever
yeah,
had the opportunity to experience life with a camera like that.
right, absolutely, absolutely. It's funny nowadays, this camera, like it when it was originally sold, probably sold for anywhere between 500 to $1,000, with the lens and everything. Nowadays, you can pick them up for um, 50 bucks, 25 bucks.
Wow. Wow.
So, but they still do a great job. I have a professional camera because I also am a professional photographer outside of health coaching. But ordinarily, like whenever I just go around and I'm shooting and enjoying myself, I really like to use older cameras because they don't do everything that the newer ones do, and
Mhm.
it challenges me to, know what I'm doing, know how to actually set the camera appropriately, especially with film, when you're shooting film, because there's no take backs with film. Once you hit the shutter button, if you didn't set things correctly, you just lost money. So it's
Yeah,
kind of
and
a
and I'm sure you remember way back when we were kids, right? You had the film cameras because the
right,
other
right,
didn't exist. And you'd be
right.
so excited. I know I would be. We'd take the film to drop it off to have be developed, and you'd pick it up and you'd come home and you go through the pictures and you'd be like, I took a picture of that, or it's
Yeah,
blurry, or you can't make out what you tried to take a picture of,
right,
or
right.
so many times it was just I felt so disappointed because I was like, oh, phooey. Or if
Yep,
you overexpose it or you accidentally open the back and the camera messes up all of the film and stuff.
yep.
Yeah.
Messes up the film. Yeah. But there is that joy of, so typically with I have a couple film cameras that I just take out very rarely. And so I might go through a full reel of film in a year on those. And it's always interesting to me to see that, after a year of shooting, um, on the camera, and by the way, that's like 36 shots as a roll of film. That's it. That's all you get. But I won't remember some of the memories, like some of the photos I've taken. So it's really cool after I've taken the film to get processed, like when I'm looking over it, like what did I shoot, reliving those memories in your mind, because it's just like it jogs the memory
Mhm,
base,
mhm.
brings you back to the moment that you shot the shot. So it's very
And
interesting.
hopefully it brings you back to a happy time, right?
Yeah, yeah, usually. I mean, I'm not a wartime photographer, so most of the things that I shoot are
Well,
happy things.
that's positive. Yeah, I actually have, while we're talking about this, you're reminding me, I actually have two rolls of undeveloped film that I came across. I
Wow.
really need to take them to be developed so I can see what's on them because I don't remember. I have no earthly idea. So I will be
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised. And I'm going to take this opportunity as a to do for me so that I can share on a future podcast what was on my two unknown rolls of film.
Yeah, maybe we can make a short. It'd be like, what was on Tammy's
Yeah,
unprocessed rolls of
absolutely.
film?
That'll be fun. That'll be fun. Stay tuned, as they say,
Stay tuned,
right?
right? Yeah. What
So
about you?
I'm curious, not to interrupt you,
Okay.
but
No, go
as to
ahead.
your photography, are you self-taught? Did you go to school to learn how to shoot photography? How did you come about this?
So with photography, when I was living in Paris, I started shooting with a cell phone. Like
Hmm.
actually, I had been practicing like with just an old cell phone before that, and I always I always enjoyed that. But then I actually got a nicer cell phone that had a good camera on it, and so I really started kind of getting into playing around with that, especially with the architecture around Paris and learning how to edit photos. And I remember people kept asking me what camera that I used, like, what camera do you use? And I had a few people like ask me, oh, hey, like, would you come and shoot photos for us? And I was like, I don't have a camera. I'm just doing this with my cell phone at the time. And this is like went on for a couple of years. Just me like continuing to improve. And during the pandemic, I was like, I have nothing but time right now. I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy a camera. Finally. Somebody told me like in passing, they're like, you really need to buy a camera. I was like, okay, I'll buy a camera. I was pretty much all self-taught. I would research things online, dig for information. I would try to reverse engineer people's photography work and would learn a lot in the process. I think the biggest thing was that really really drove home and I learned so much from and was when I was approached by somebody to start teaching a photography like course. And
Hmm.
uh, I was like, okay, like I remember saying to them, like, I never went to school for photography. They're like, well, your work is good enough that you don't need to go to school for photography, but if you can teach people about what you do, yeah. then, we'd really like to have you, teach this course. And so I did. And I went from like just challenging myself to like working with other people, challenging them, and having to come up with a curriculum. And so I learned a lot more during that time frame as well. Just shooting manual lenses like I love to do in general, and old vintage equipment. It doesn't do everything for you, and so you have to know how to set things up, how you need to set the lens, what filters to use on top of the lens, how to set the camera in order to get the desired result. It's not like
Mhm.
when I first started, I in professional photography, I had professional lenses, and I could literally just click the button on my camera, and if I had the right lens on the camera for the job the camera would figure it all out between the lens and the camera. Like I could put it
Isn't
in
that
autopilot.
interesting?
Yeah,
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
I know professional photographers right now that they just have good lenses and they know how to frame, and they leave their camera in auto the entire time.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Well, I would honestly say, knowing you for the time that I have, photography, videography, I know really lights you up. Almost as much as health coaching, but in some ways you get like this little twinkle in your eye and the cute little sideways smile when you start talking cameras and lenses. And I
yeah,
remember years ago you would say, "Oh, I'm looking for this whatever blah blah blah, vintage lens." And I was like, "That's even a thing?" I mean, I had no idea, but
yeah,
I
yeah,
think I think
absolutely.
that's super cool. And yeah, that which lights us up, we it doesn't feel like a job.
Hmm.
You enjoy the research behind it. You enjoy digging and learning more and understanding and, like you
Right,
said,
right.
re-engineering and rewickering whatever it is that you're looking forward to doing and snapping photos
Yeah,
of. And
absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
take some great pictures. I've seen some of your work. You take some great
Thanks.
pictures.
I'm pretty sure I've edited some of your pictures.
Yes, you have, as a matter of fact. So thank you. Thank you. And I never touted to be a great photographer or anything such as that. Even some of them I
Yep,
think came from supposed, paid for photography photos. But that's all good.
right,
We all
right.
we all
Absolutely.
have our own unique skills. So cool.
Absolutely. How about
Cool.
you, Tammy? What is your secret obsession outside of health?
I'm still fully seeking and searching. But one of the things that really I think lights me up because I have way more books and research material that I have done on my canine yoga that
Right,
I do. I was teaching prior to the pandemic. Speaking of the pandemic, I was
right,
actually
right,
working in a dog training school and teaching humans how to help their dogs through different poses or positions or whatever to help strengthen their dogs, their
right,
shoulders, their backs, their hind legs, all of the things like that. And living in Florida, where I do, we're on flat land. For those that may not know, Florida is a
right,
very flat state. So, places where dogs can climb mountains or steps or hills or whatever, their bodies are engaged more, their core, their hips, their shoulders,
right,
so they tend to be a little bit more flexible, if you will, if you would like to use
right,
that term. So just working with our dogs and understanding the chakra systems of the dogs, which and
right,
chakras are spinning wheels of energy when translated from Sanskrit to English. I just have really resonated with the chakra system. So I've, kind of combined the two, dog
That's
yoga
very
and the
cool.
chakras. And I
That's
do
very cool.
a chakra meditation at the end of my classes. And honestly, I just do the chakra meditation with Riley, my canine guy, who is a dachshund lab mix, which is one reason why I kind of got into this, to kind of help protect his back and his body. And as we're aging. It's just so important. And then with my yoga background and training, it just kind of worked out. You know, I was training in a dog school, and the instructor at the time just kept saying, I really would like to find somebody who can teach dog yoga. And I was like, I don't know who can do that. No, it's not me. And then finally one day I went, oh, I think I can do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be able to do that. So I sat down and kind of like you, I started like really thinking about it from a dog standpoint. And so I've kind of named some of my own cute little poses, and but really, working both sides of their body. Like, so many times you have a
Right.
dog that'll do a high five. And
Right.
one of the things I teach is, well, get them to do the other side too. Make sure you're keeping that balance on their high
Right.
fives,
Right.
so
Yeah.
little things like that.
I know you recently just finished up a little mini book or a book, right? As well.
Yes, in my ebook on my canine chakra yoga meditation, it's just it's an overview of the chakras of the dogs, and really it's all living beings, humans, canines, cats,
Right.
whatever, bunnies, horses, you name it. We all
Right.
have the energy centers, and from the top of the head all the way down to the feet. And yeah, so I've written out my little meditation that I say to Riley, and I've written it in such a way that you could read the book
Mm-hmm.
like I envision it as, and I say this in the book, like you're reading to a child. So
Right.
like you're reading the story to your dog or your cat for that
Right.
matter, and you're just following through, and it guides you along the way as to each chakra in the body and where it's located and the color and the sound associated with it.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to like put a picture of Riley here, so you'll have to send me over a good like either video or photo of Riley. Maybe you can I remember there was like a photo before that was really cute. Yeah, I think you have it on your website where Riley's doing like down dog or something like
Mhm,
that. So
mhm, mhm.
maybe you should send that over to me and I can whenever edit this video, I'll put,
I
Riley.
can certainly do that. That'd be
Yeah,
super cool.
that would be
That'd be
cool. Yeah, that
yeah.
would be cool.
Yep.
Yep, very fun. Yeah, I mean, I've seen you grow in that, several years now. Like you've done TV shows, you built your website around that, and
Mhm.
now you
Yeah,
released
speaking.
your
Yeah, I've
book,
been
and
asked to speak, invited to speak on the
yeah, several
topic with a
times
couple of places. Yeah, podcast,
on
TV
TV.
show. It's on
Yeah,
YouTube on All Pet TV, All Pet Talk TV. We can put that in the description for you as
yeah,
well. But
yeah.
yes, and I'm going to be doing a master class, part of a master class summit later this year on the subject matter. So yes, there's interest in it, and
Yeah,
it's fun,
absolutely.
right? I mean, who
Absolutely.
doesn't love their pets? I know you've got yourself your own handful of
A
animals
few.
running around.
I
So,
have a
I mean,
few,
many
yeah.
of us love our animals.
Yeah,
They're our best
absolutely.
friends.
Absolutely.
Super
Yeah, I
cool.
mean, I think, something that just kind of resonates in the back of my head too for both of us, and I think this would actually tie into our coaching as well. And one of the things that really draws us to that is kind of, you know, growth, getting excited about growth.
Hmm.
Like decide, not to like go crazy and turn that topic too much, but like, I know that for you watching you, especially when you're preparing, for, some of the TV shows and different things like that, and things were growing, you were getting like very excited and the research behind that. And I remember like bleeding into our coaching, like we had to be like, okay, I know this is exciting, but still like we need balance. We need to kind of be able to focus on, your health and other things like that. But not to mention that, just to speak to the excitement, growing is exciting,
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
and
Expanding, right? Expanding our
expanding, yeah,
knowledge, and
yeah,
it helps our brain, right? And
right,
helps to slow down the progression of loss of memory and the
right,
cells. And I
Yeah,
know that's a whole nother conversation, but you know,
yeah,
we're not there right now. But still, being able to learn something new and
absolutely.
just expanding our mind, and then if it excites you, then that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what else should we talk about today? I mean, I think that was pretty cool on both of our ends. I mean, I know like you know me in photography, and I mean, I can list my personal Instagram below if anybody wants to check that out, like for photography. And you have your dog yoga and everything.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I think what, for me personally, what ended up with me in the yoga space in the first place
right.
was, going all the way back to me learning and finding the Chopra Center
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
studying the Ayurveda. And
right,
I went down that path to help me because of, now I know perimenopause, but that wasn't even in my
right,
vocabulary. I didn't know that was really a thing
right, right.
at the time. So learning, trying to understand how to take better care of myself.
Yep,
And with Chopra, they teach meditation. They also taught yoga, and or they do teach yoga, but learning those things, and that at the time really excited me and lit me up to learn how to take care of myself from a more holistic standpoint. I mean, I had already scratched the surface, but that helped me dive even deeper into that whole journey. And I just have kind of carried it through. But I had to pace myself, like we all
yeah,
should,
yeah,
back to that pace yourself conversation. So
yep,
it took me a couple of years to do meditation and then find a yoga instructor and go through that
right,
process. And
yeah,
and like I have shared with one of my friends who's an inspiration to me for doing the yoga,
mm-hmm.
quick shout out to Meg. Um, I didn't think that I could do yoga. I didn't think I breathe, broth, had
I
good enough
could, you
breathing
could breathe.
skills.
You
I
had
couldn't
enough,
breathe and I can't speak either sometimes,
you
apparently.
had enough
So
breathing skills, or you could
no, I
breathe.
didn't have enough breathing skills, quite honestly. But I truly thought like a 200-hour yoga teacher was somebody who physically went through 200 hours of yoga in
Right,
like 6 months time or something like, and I was like, "Ooh, wee man, I cannot, and I don't think so." And then when I really learned how it all works, and I got to meet people over Zoom that have CF who have traveled that journey, I'm like, "Oh, maybe I can do this." So I did. I
yeah,
took a leap of faith. I jumped off the cliff after I thought about it long enough, and I said, "All right, I'm doing it." And then I've
yeah, very
continued
cool.
on with the 500-hour because it was just it just resonated with me and I enjoyed it, so I did
Yeah,
it. But yeah,
that's awesome. I
yeah,
know,
I was excited.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
I've recently like, and see if I can dig it up, so we can mention it in the comments. But I recently came across a couple of studies, that people were talking about, where they were talking about um, there's a strong correlation between making progress or, in growth in life and happiness, and feeling and, fulfillment. And so, and they were talking about like they tracked several people that, like had successful hobbies or, were big on planning and goal setting and different things like that. And it was really interesting, like speaking to our conversation right now, just because it just again popped in the back of my head. That strong correlation between like making progress, focusing on progress, being progress, have a progress mindset and growth mindset, and feelings of, happiness, joy, and fulfillment. Yeah. So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Well,
Super
what do
cool.
you
I had
say?
like 16 more thoughts fly through my head,
Of
but
course. I think though today, like I think if we keep going the 16 more thoughts, like and if I am like one more thing, we're gonna end up with a 45-minute video. But
it's all
so
good. It's all
yeah,
good.
yeah, absolutely. Well, it's definitely cool to hear you talk a little bit more about the dog yoga thing. I know we really need to get back and talk about the Chopra Center. We planned on talking about that earlier. Maybe that could be a good follow-up to this, speaking to kind of like your path and your journey, to kind of dive into, your mindsets more, on discovering the Chopra
Mhm,
Center,
mhm.
um,
Yes.
figuring out those paths forward, and applying, your mind to that mindset of growth at that point in your life. And so I think that would be really cool, maybe a next video after this to really dive back into where we were talking about like your journey a bit more and
Mhm.
take that next
Yes,
step in
yes,
your journey. What do you
absolutely.
think?
Absolutely. I think that would be fantastic and equally as exciting.
Cool. Well, always a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, as always, to all of our wonderful listeners and for tuning in each time that we have a new episode. We appreciate you. We love you. And if you're so inclined, like, subscribe, and share our channel. We'd be grateful.